Welcome to Powered by Her, exploring the stories of how area women power their business. Here from the growing network of female entrepreneurs of the Upper Cumberland with your host Tiffany Ann Ton, director of Biz Foundry. Powered by Her starts now.
Hi, you're listening to Powered by Her in the Hinsfield Blue Podcast Center. I'm Julie David from Harmony Lane Farm and Creamery Inn. Thanks for coming.
Well, thank you.
So you have a farm.
We do.
With 1 million goats.
Not quite 1 million yet.
Not yet. So let's take us back a little bit. You are located in Smithville, Tennessee.
Correct.
So mid Tennessee. Have you always been from this area? Are you a Tennessee gal?
I was actually born in Virginia. Only stayed there about 2 years. Most of my life was in Florida and Texas.
Okay. So, and were you on a farm or involved with farms growing up?
No. I actually couldn't have any animals growing up.
So you weren't like 4-H. You knew everything about everything.
Not at all.
So what, growing up, what did you think you were going to do in life?
Be a labor delivery room nurse, actually.
Well, which you're probably not far from that of what they're doing. So what brought you to Tennessee?
Well, we built a cabin on Center Hill Lake and fell in love with the small town feel of Smithville and the people. And we were in Palm Beach Gardens, Florida. We had a commercial concrete construction business.
And you say you and your husband?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. We've been doing concrete for 39 years. So, We actually got married young, had kids young, so I never went to school to be that labor delivery room nurse. And then when the business took off, I couldn't go back to school at that time because I was doing the books and helping him. And
how did you know how to do the books for the business?
Good CPA. A good CPA.
You had a CPA. You were working with a CPA.
Yes. Okay. Yes. So he would do a certain portion and teach me as we went, and I would do certain things. So.
Yeah. But you kind of taught yourself a little bit.
Yeah.
You're not a CPA yourself,
right? I am not.
Yeah. Okay. So you're doing concrete.
So we're plugging along in Florida about 25 years doing concrete, and a friend of ours said, I'm going to get some property in Smithville. Do you want to buy a lot from me? He was buying like 6 or 7 lots.
Did you have any idea where Smithville was?
Not at all. Not at all. Not at all. So he did. He bought about 6 or 8 lots in down by Blue Water Bay. I don't know if anyone knows where that is, but Hurricane Point. Mm-hmm. And so we purchased a lot from him. We all built cabins together, a 3-story log cabin, about 4,800 square feet.
Those are the cabins that are on the way to the hurricane?
No,
okay.
This is a little different.
Okay.
Yeah, a little different. That was my husband's dream, to build a log cabin. So we did that for him, and we'd make the commute back and forth from Florida.
And so this was just
Tennessee.
Kind of a vacation place.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. Yeah. So fell in love with the small town, like I said, and decided to make the move full time.
How long ago was that?
Right. So we built the cabin 2006, 2007. Yeah.
Okay.
Built the cabin and like I said, made the trips back and forth. 2010, we moved full time here.
And were your kids all grown and out of the house by then?
Yeah. We started early. Our kids actually are 34 and 36 right now. We have 4 grandchildren.
Mm-hmm. And where are they at? That's probably tough.
So Tyler is in Kansas City, mm-hmm. so I don't get to see those 2 grandchildren as much. And Crystal is actually a veterinarian in Franklin.
Oh, okay.
So that's small animal vet, not large animal vet. So all that money for nothing.
Yeah.
No, she helps me with some things, but you either a small animal or a large animal,
mm-hmm.
and she's small. So.
Mm-hmm. So you, 2010, and what was your plan when you moved here? Was it to stay in the concrete business and to start that here?
Yeah, he actually thought he could retire and figured out he couldn't. So he picked it back up at small scale. Instead of 60 employees, only like 2 or 3. Mm-hmm. I actually came down with a condition called Gastroparesis. I couldn't break down my fresh vegetables, and I was eating a ton of kale all the time, getting sicker and sicker and sicker. And after a lot of testing and they figured out what it was, they put me on a ton of medicine. I wanted to get myself off. I always wanted, if I were to have an animal, it would have been a goat. So I researched, and goat milk, raw goat milk was good for my condition. Mm-hmm.
So you said you were never able to have animals. Was that were there allergies, or your parents just said there's no animals allowed?
Yeah. Or? In my mom's defense, she was raised in a farmhouse with 8 children and 4 boys, 4 girls. They had some bird dogs coming in and out the house. She wanted a clean house, no dog hair. She went just the opposite.
Yeah.
So, I mean, not even a goldfish I could have. So, and ironically enough, both my parents live with us now, and we have over 250 animals. I think that's called karma.
I'm sure, but it's not. It's such a. It feels very clean. It doesn't feel like you're on a farm, really.
Well, that was our goal. So back when I didn't have my goats, I would go to meat goat producers, and so their goats, they raise their young. It's called dam raised. Mm-hmm. So they're not as friendly. The kids aren't as friendly, the baby goats. So they don't come to the fence and let you pet them and cuddle them. But I would still sit there and just watch them for hours.
Mm-hmm. And you just when you would go to pick up goat's milk.
Yeah, exactly.
And you were you using that in recipes, or were you drinking it straight, or how do you?
So for my gastroparesis, a good 2 to 3 8-ounce glasses a day was helping me get over my condition, get it that's stable.
That's probably a decent amount, though.
Yeah.
That's a lot of milk, period, to drink in a day.
Yeah, even in your cereal or just drinking it straight, and and then so I started feeling better and feeling more healthy, and I said, this is silly to go buy goat's milk from someone when I can have.
Where did you find a goat farm that you could go and get goat's milk from?
It was just a lady that had a couple homestead goats.
Okay.
And she was helping
right there
me
in
out.
Smithville?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so she was letting you, okay.
Yeah. So after a while, I started going to goat shows. I wanted to learn more about, goats.
Yeah.
I'm the type of person I have to learn about it first. I did have a goat mentor for a while. And got 2 goats here in Tennessee and 2 other goats in Atlanta. And that my first 4 goats are behind my cash register on a picture that started the whole herd.
Yeah. So you were you living in the cabin still?
Nope, not. So the cabin was up for sale, and we had bought the farm.
Okay.
And
bought the farm with the purpose that you thought you were having a goat farm?
Yes, and we just wanted more flat land. We were right on the lake, big hill. Honestly, the cabin was a lot of upkeep. Mm-hmm. My husband and I just wanted to get a farm in hopes to maybe get a couple beef cattle to raise for our own meat, some chickens, things like that. Mm-hmm. And had the goats in the back of my head.
And that you didn't mention it to the husband at that point.
Right.
Well, maybe we'll just. So your original thought for a farm was just for your own home.
Sure.
Needs.
Sure.
Having some fresh eggs and you were obviously. When you have digestive issues, you really start looking at your food intake and what's going on. Mm-hmm. And so you were just kind of trying to make healthier decisions and do better for yourself.
Exactly.
Not to impact the area.
No. This kind of came out of nowhere really fast.
And so you get these 4 goats. Were those the first 4 animals on the farm, period? So no cattle?
The cattle came right after that.
Okay.
Yeah, the cattle came. And then the hogs. We got some hogs.
Yeah.
Yeah, so.
And so you get these 4 goats, and they're do you start using them for other purposes, or just your own again?
just learning how to milk them really well, getting them in, getting them out, getting the milk, taking care of them, just learning all about them. And then I actually had an overabundance of milk, so I started making soap. Soap was first, goat milk soap. So
and what year? So it was 2010 when you moved up full time. Mm-hmm. And then what year did you buy the farm?
Bought the farm 2012.
Okay, so not much after that.
Yeah. And 2013 is when it's wrote in the concrete.
Do you think that you having an entrepreneurial family, you guys had a concrete business, do you think that kind of gave you a little bit of a push or platform to start selling some soaps, or do you think you just felt really passionate about the goats and the benefits of what goat's milk does?
I think it's a combination of both.
Yeah.
Yeah. We had taken the concrete business from really nothing to something
substantial if you had 60 employees.
Mm-hmm, yes, and 25 years doing it there. So really both. But I was passionate. I was, because it healed my condition. Mm-hmm. I'll get a little off kilter and have a glass of goat's milk, and it'll help calm it down a little bit. So, and then the soap, it started taking off. Then I started making cheese.
Were you going how were you selling the soaps at the time? Were you going around to shows and?
Actually, I was giving a lot of them away, and people would just come to my property to purchase them.
Yeah.
I really wasn't doing any farmers markets or shows.
Or were you advertising much at the time?
It was really word of mouth. No,
Yeah.
I wasn't.
I mean, that is the beauty. So in Florida, were you in a bigger area, a bigger town?
Yeah.
So that's kind of the beauty, though, with a small town area is that you can, she's the goat lady.
Yeah.
That's, go to her house, just walk up to her front door in the farm and,
exactly.
buy, hey, are you the goat lady that sells?
People call me that in town, and I take that as a compliment.
Well, and it sounds like you really have a passion for the humane side of hosting a farm, having a farm as well.
I do. A lot of people will say, especially with the beef cattle and the hogs, when we have calves or when we have piglets and they see them, and yes, they're our meat, but they're like, how can you do that? They're so cute. And I'm like, so I tell people on my tours, at the end of the day, I'm going to have a cheeseburger somewhere. Mm-hmm. I'm going to have bacon and sausage somewhere. Why not know how it was raised, what it was fed, and that it was humanely processed. I check into all of those factors. So yeah, and that's why they don't have names. They just have numbers.
Yeah. Which but I'm sure that there's people. Some of your employees probably get a little attached to some of them at some points.
Yes,
but they're not running the business at the end of the day.
Exactly.
So how many goats do you have now?
Well, if you count all the milkers, all the bucks, we have 12 breeding bucks, all the yearlings, all the kids, we're probably pushing 175, 185.
So from 4 in 2012.
Yeah, a good
2013.
Yeah.
So 7 years and 100.
Yeah.
So what does your family think? What does your husband think? What do your...
Well, I don't think it could have taken off as much if he didn't enjoy it. He really enjoys milking the girls. He still does concrete quite a bit. Mm-hmm. I mean, we're like 2 months behind, really. That's, again, word of mouth. A good concrete man's hard to find. Mm-hmm. And so he would like to give the business to one of his employees and come over to my side, and we're going to retire doing this together. But he absolutely loves milking, loves birthing, loves everything about it. Yeah, I couldn't have done it if he didn't.
So how did you get to? So you're just kind of doing some benefits of goat's milk, and are you educating people aside from just when they come up to the farm and they're buying some stuff?
Yeah. So really, when we bought the farm, it was a dogwood plantation. And there was a small 1,200 square foot building, and it was just so run down. It was the potting shed for the dogwood operation years ago. Mm-hmm. And so owning our own business, concrete business, we gutted it, concrete countertops, concrete floors, a bedroom and a bathroom. We lived there for 5 years with my mother so we could build the dairy first.
Wow.
Yeah. So we really...
And you don't have this, that was your full-time residence?
Yes.
For 5 years.
With my mom. And then we just really purchased the property next to us, which is an additional 20 acres, and built our home 3 years ago.
Oh, wow.
So we lived, I called it, instead of Little House on the Prairie, it was Little House on the Farm.
Yeah.
But we were never in there. We're outside all the time.
Yeah.
And so one whole side of that little 1,200 square foot building is nothing but kitchen. And I would have cheese bags hanging every single day. So after I made soap, I was starting to get more and more milk, and then because see, your 4 goats have babies, and then you grow.
Yeah.
And so I was hanging cheese bags every day.
And how many goat? Like how much is a litter? I'm not a farm girl myself.
Yeah. So
it's how many?
1 to 4.
1 to 4. Okay.
With the average being 2 and 3.
And how often do they give birth?
Once a year.
Once a year. And how long are they? I just was saying this to somebody the other day. How long are they even pregnant for? I don't know. 5 months. 5
or
months.
150 days, give or take a week.
Okay.
Yeah.
And for 1 to 4 each time.
Mm-hmm.
So that, I mean, yes, it does multiply, but it takes a bit to get to 175.
By then I was pulling from other areas and bringing in new genetics, from other states.
Yeah.
So, but I was going to I was wanting to sell my cheese, but you can't. You can't go to a farmer's market, and everyone kept saying, "Oh, it's delicious, and I want more, and can, I want to buy some." You can't. It's a dairy product. You can get sick. So I called TDA, Tennessee Department of Agriculture, said, "What do I need to do to get my license?" Well, they send you a packet that is just 3 inches thick. So we're like, okay. So my husband, being in the concrete construction business and knowing friends, shell contractors and stuff, we decided to break ground and start building a dairy.
Wow.
Yeah.
And how long ago did you start building?
I am licensed now, going into my 6th year. A good 5 years.
In case you're just joining us, we have Julie David with Harmony Lane Farm and Creamery, and we're listening to Powered by Her in the Hinson Oakley Podcast Center. And so, Julie, you build a dairy. I mean, and that's like a production.
Yes.
So I've gone on a tour, and so there's they're milked twice a day.
They are.
And you kind of pull them in line, and I'm assuming it's kind of like some of these science shows that they show for kids, like Bill Nye the Science Guy at a farm or something, where, and they just go in and they get milked and then they go out, and there's a system to it all.
Definitely a system. Yes.
How did you learn how to run a dairy?
Well, again, I had a goat mentor for a while. I went to a lot of goat shows. I'm the type of person, too, that if I throw myself into something, if I'm on using the restroom, I'm on a goat forum.
Yeah. I
am constantly reading, educating, learning, and a good vet. Even though our daughter's a vet, we used Dr. Jennifer Hatcher, and they train you to be your own vet, actually. They teach you. They want you to be.
Yeah.
She'll come out a couple times a year, but when I need her, they actually just train you and help you to become your own vet.
So what was it like the first time you had a birth on the farm?
Oh, gosh. So this is in our original small building that my husband built for me, which is very sentimental. And I milked on one side. I had a concrete floor, and then I had a couple stalls over to the right. And I was nervous. I was, you can watch all the YouTube videos you want to watch, but until it's actually happening,
yeah,
it's, and my mom was there. I can remember it plain as day. Mark was there. This one particular goat had triplets, and we thought after twins we were done, but we weren't. And then the next one just kind of shot out, and we had to catch it. So
did you feel like, what was the difference between when your grandchildren were born and when your human grandchildren, opposed to...
It was kind of on the same level. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah.
It's a life. You're bringing a life into the world. And
you're the one, really, you're the doctor in that situation, right, where there's other medical professional when your human grandchildren were born.
Something goes wrong, and we're a good hour away from where Dr. Jennifer is. So you have to keep that in the back of your head at all times.
Yeah. So have you had any that you've lost during birth?
No, I really haven't. I've had one that was stillborn, and then I've had 2 C-sections.
Oh my gosh.
So yeah, but other than that, for the most part.
Did you have a vet on hand for those?
I did. So what we do during birthing season is we have my truck bedded down. So the back of the truck is a cab, it's enclosed, and we have straw, and that's our ambulance. And so you have to keep in the back of your head. You have an hour drive, so you don't want to let it get out of hand. And so we load her up, take her to Dr. Jennifer. And
gosh.
She does it. People can do it on their farm. I'm not to that point yet. I don't know if I ever will be or want to, but so you just have your ambulance ready.
So you start a dairy. So you're milking, you're making cheese, you're making ice cream, correct?
Just started ice cream and goat milk caramels.
Yes. Oh my God. Those were amazing, by the way. Melted in my mouth, literally. It was great. But so then you decided to start some tours and to start kind of having it be a place on the map in Smithville.
Right. That kind of snuck up on me. I'm not going to lie. I kind of designed the baby goat nursery, thinking this is what I would have wanted to go to prior to me owning goats. Instead of going to all of these meat goat producers and just sitting by their fields and people thinking I'm crazy, I would have liked to have gone to something like what I built, what we've built. So I built it with that in mind, and
with the thought in mind of people are coming to buy your goats.
No, coming to visit with my goats, coming to cuddle my goats, because we don't let the moms raise them in a dairy. You can't do that. That's called dam raising. So you're going to raise the goats on one side, and you're going to take care of the moms on the other. Then they meet up in the field later. Well, where we take care of the goats is our baby goat nursery. And I was inviting people in to hold them and cuddle, because you're conditioning the goat to be milked for the rest of its life, to make it tame. It doesn't know anything but human contact, and they love to be cuddled. And then there's feedings. Sometimes you have to feed them 4 times a day, so people would come and help me feed a baby goat a bottle. So it just kind of grew, and then word of mouth, and then I started structuring it more, and you needed a reservation because you can't have 50 people show up at one time. But that's really how it started. And then I just kept buying pictures and fixing it up and making it more like a home setting, a comfortable setting for you to enjoy cuddling baby goats.
And when you drive out there, you feel like you're driving through a neighborhood. And then you kind of turn, and it's this beautiful building, and now the concrete makes sense because it's a very nice paved driveway, and you don't feel like you're getting dirty. There's a sidewalk through the farm and everything.
Well, that was another thing that was very important to me, that people come out and they can enjoy a farm setting but not get dirty and walk through poo and mud and everything. Yeah. So we're every year we pour more concrete. We have a big covering being done right now.
Yeah.
So. Shade.
It is definitely, it's like I said, it makes more sense now.
Yeah.
So what has been the best part about this journey for you?
The best part? Well, if I'm perfectly honest, getting married young, we were 18 and 19, having children young. I never really did anything for myself besides my kids and my marriage, which I adore. That was my life and still is. But like I said, I wanted to go back to school. Never did, as far as college and whatnot. But so doing something for myself and seeing it grow and seeing the how much people appreciate it and enjoy it and the feedback. And it's like everything we make, it seems like they love and they want more. And it's very rewarding.
Well, and one thing that I found pretty fascinating is that the woman who gave us a tour, she was so passionate about your business as well. And she was passionate about the goats. And so how do you think, as the owner of the business, the boss lady, how do you instill that in your employees?
Well, I think I'm careful who I hire, number one. They have to have the same goals and be driven like I am. I mean, some people are farmy and like birthing. Like, some people don't want to be around birthing and birth goo, and some people do. They think that's really cool. We actually offer that if you're on a tour and there's a goat in labor, I'll let you watch. So I guess first I'm going to talk to you and kind of figure out, your mindset and where your head is, and then we just all work together. I mean, you have to be very flexible. You have to be able to move from job to job, and you're not just going to come in and do one thing, because there's emergencies, there's this, there's that. So I've been very blessed. I'm not going to lie, to have good help that's like you said, passionate like I am.
Do you give yourself the credit to that you've instilled something in your passion, and I think when you have health issues or health scare, and your business is because of that, it's got to be a different story than somebody who just thinks, I created the iPhone.
Right.
Like that's
true. That's a good point. Yeah.
And so I'm sure that you feel so strongly about the benefits of goats and dairy, and having a goat dairy, that transfers over not only into your employees, but your patrons as well, and the people that you have on the farm.
Yes, it does. It does. And they all, of course, get free goat's milk and goat's milk soap. They see the benefits. Then they get excited. It only takes a few births for you to get excited. And then you can watch, that baby goat grow up and then have its own kids later on. So it's contagious. Yeah. I think it's contagious.
Have you thought about the fact, so Smithville is a small town in the middle of Tennessee. It's a fairly small town. And you've created not just a business where you have employees and you've impacted the economy of that area, but you've also then created a destination place. So people are coming and bringing their families into Smithville for tours and whatnot. Have you really taken that on, the impact that you've made in this small community?
My husband actually brought this up the other night. It's funny you would say that. It's happened so fast. So the agritourism's probably been a good 3 years, with the first year just getting us out there. But these last 2 years, we actually started the reservations and the hand washing station and the whole biosecurity map before you go in last year, before the COVID. We got to where so many people were coming out, and then it was word of mouth, and they were writing a review, and this person would see it, that we had to have more structure. So I could make sure everyone had a good time and they weren't on top of each other, and I could give them the attention that they needed. So we started all of that last year. But honestly, the way it's growing, and my tours have been booked every day, twice a day. Now the COVID, 6 weeks, people would just pick groceries up in the parking lot. They'd call in their order, and I'd take it over the phone. But now maybe they feel safer outside with the fresh air. People come with masks, and some don't. But you're a good 30 minutes on my little trolley. I'm taking you back and forth, so you're outside quite a bit. But it still is surprising me, the growth. And we're still, like I said, we have a cover being built now, a roof over some of the animals. So.
Well, and it sounds like you said your priority was as a mother and a wife, and you supported your husband in his business. And I'm guessing that's probably some of the surprise is like, here, you spent a bit of your life as that's the titles you wore. And then to now see what, she's getting goosebumps here, but to see what you've been able to build because of your passion. Yeah. And where I'm making her tear up here a little bit. But I mean, that's pretty exciting. And I think a lot of our listeners are women who struggle with that of having,
when's it my turn?
Right. Or feeling like, is it okay to be my turn?
Yeah.
I think a lot of times society places on women that the right thing is to be the wife and mother first. And if you have time later, that's okay.
Yeah. Yeah. And even, I think, take it a step further in farming. A lot of people think you have to have done the 4-H and you had to have done all of this and that prior. Because I'm not going to lie, it's some days I'm like, why am I doing this? It's people say, what are your hours? I'm like, hours? It's a lifestyle. It's you never stop. There's no vacations. We did all that before. We had an RV. My husband raced. We did all that. But it's a sacrifice. Owning a farm of any type. I mean, but we're a grade A dairy. There's only 5 in the entire state of Tennessee.
Yeah.
And we're one of them. It took a whole year and a half just to get our license. And so now that we're here, it's very rewarding. I love the customers and their feedback. I love seeing people. We've got kids that have never seen a cow up close and personal. Yeah. Much less a baby goat birth or hold a baby goat on their lap. So, and then tasting our products and understanding that it doesn't have to taste goaty. It can taste very smooth and delicious. And seeing the milking. You can hand milk a goat on my farm when you come here, and some people have never touched the back side of a goat's teat.
Well, and the health benefits that you're putting out there as well.
Yeah,
a farm that has natural
grass-fed beef.
Yeah, and that's a huge impact as well.
Well, and speaking of that, we feed our goats a verified non-GMO grain. So I took a big risk in starting that. It's much more expensive. But I wanted a non-GMO grain because I felt like that's where our world's going to. We need to get back to that. And couldn't find any around our area. I tried. So we're actually having some shipped in from Ohio. I had to become a dealer just so I could get verified non-GMO grain.
Wow. Yeah. Has there been any time over the past, 7 years or so that you thought, this is just too much? Let me just kind of rein it back in and let's just stick with just the small scale of what.
Well, I think we're getting to a point now to where we need to make some decisions, like, are we done? Do I need to make hard cheese? Am I going to make hard cheese now? I'm throwing that around in my head. How the agritourism grew, the cheese is growing, the products are growing, but the agritourism, we're kind of making a name for ourselves. So I'm trying to find a happy medium. What do I want to do in the future? I'm always thinking about we're making ice cream now. We weren't making ice cream and caramels before. We've always done the cheese and fudge. But I I did get a miniature donkey 2 days ago, but I think I'm done with the animals. I think, because we have we have the emus and a llama
and those are just for show.
They are. They can be guardian animals, but that's not why we got them. Like you said, it's an experience. Mm-hmm. How many places can you go and brush a llama's wool?
Right.
So, but I think we're just going to start perfecting it. I think, mm-hmm. and maybe make a little hard cheese and just kind of see where we're at.
Well, and you did say that your husband is thinking in the closer future plans to retiring, but it's not really retiring on a farm.
Never. No, it's not. It's not retiring.
What advice would you give to women who are considering starting a business or who have a passion for something that they think could, but it's just their kind of side passion?
Well, I think it starts with the passion. If you don't have the passion, in my opinion, it's hard to keep yourself propelled going, mm-hmm. Because some days, especially in farming,
it's exhausting.
The whole circle of life. I've had to even teach my parents. My mom got really upset when a baby goat died last year, and we had to have this big discussion. It's a lot. It's a lot, and it's constant. But the question was,
what advice would you give?
Yeah, if they're thinking about doing it, do your research. Mm-hmm. I'm a research person. Do your research. And if you do really have that passion deep inside, that burning, that yearning, that you're going to make it. Mm-hmm. You're going to make it regardless. What level are you going to end up at? I don't know. But you're going to make something out of it if you're really that driven and have that passion and something's pushing you to do it.
How important was a mentor in the process?
He was very important. He gave me a lot of inside advice. I actually would keep some of his goats. He had a dairy in Atlanta. I keep some of his goats for him. They would do better in the shows for him. Mm-hmm. Because I guess I put that bloom on them so they would win, being in a smaller setting. And so, reach out to people that are doing something similar that you want to do. Do mm-hmm. your homework. If you really want something bad enough, and you have that drive, you're going to do it.
Yeah.
You're going to make it.
Well, and I think that passion piece, especially for women, is so, it's just really important.
And people tell me that, I honestly, probably every single day I at least hear that one time. Yeah. I can see you're so passionate about this, Julie.
Yeah.
Because they say if it's not if you love what you do, it's not work.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now farming is hard work.
Yeah. But
I do love what I do. I do, and I love sharing, and I love seeing the little kids' faces and the parents and the reviews. And I tell people all the time, if you're a review giver, we're a review taker, because at the end of the day, I like going in and reading them.
Mm-hmm. And knowing the experience that people have had.
Right. I have a tendency to go over and above, and I want to tell them everything I know while they're on the tour, and it's a limited amount of time. And
have you heard stories about dietary wise that people have
all the time? So cow milk, the beta caseins or the proteins are very large. And mm-hmm. so our bodies have to work so hard to break it down. That makes you lactose intolerant. The beta caseins or the proteins in goat milk are so small that our bodies don't really recognize it. It can go straight to what it needs to do. Mm-hmm. It's higher in calcium, higher in protein, and we can digest it. My dad's a perfect example. He can't have any cow dairy. It really upsets his whole structure. Mm-hmm. 2 pints of our ice cream, not one problem. So I have a huge following of people that love dairy, but they can't have cow. And so they've come over to the goat. Our country's really behind. A lot of other countries know more about the goat and the goat milk and how good it is for you, and consume a lot more.
Interesting. I think I could probably talk to you about goats. And I think farms are very interesting as well. I think it's not something that a lot of people get to experience in their life for the most part. And so the fact that you've opened up your home area and, and what you have, and you've created this dairy that people can be a part of and learn and see. And like I said, it's a really impactful business in this area that is just so unique.
Thank you.
So how can people find you if they're looking on social media or website or?
Well, of course, we have Facebook and Instagram, and then our website.
And it's Harmony Lane Farm and Creamery, both of those?
Correct.
Okay.
And then the website's going to be Harmony Lane Farms with an S.com. Now, like I said, we're reservation. The farm store is open 8 to 5. 8 to 5 every day but Sunday.
Do you ship?
And we do ship.
You do ship. Okay, so can people go to the website and place an order?
They can. They can. It has to be done Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, because we're going to want a 2-day UPS it. It's going to be in an insulated cooler with ice packs if it's a perishable product. So try to do that the earlier part of the week. If you put your order in the end of the week, it won't go out till Monday. But I was begging people when all this whole COVID started to please, support us. And they're like, I kept hearing all these comments. Oh, when the COVID's over, we're going to come out and cuddle baby goats. And I'm like, well, I'm not going to be here if you don't, start supporting me now. I'm buying some groceries now. Yeah.
So let's touch on that for a second. So what has that, it's been about 4 or 5 months now. How tough has that been as a business owner to know how to navigate something that no one else
Let's just say we just came out of the winter and then the COVID hit us. So winter's hard on us. People don't get out as much. They get out, but not as much, My labor and my feed bills, they don't change. If anything, it's more because they eat more during the winter. So we just came out of the winter, then the COVID came and hit and people stopped coming. And like I said, I really had to beg them through Facebook and whatever, my website and Instagram to please just, get online, buy some soap. And if you've ever thought about trying our products, try it now because I'm not going to, be able to continue if not. And so they did. My brother, bless his heart, came from Texas and told all of his Texas friends, if you've never tried it, and they stepped up and I had record sales as far as my online store.
I do think that COVID has entered the hearts of people, I think, for small business America.
Yes.
I think, especially in the Upper Cumberland, I think we talk about this all the time, is that there's just something unique about small business in this region where people really love and want to support and want to see small businesses be successful.
And they tell me that all the time when they come in. Yeah. They reconfirm it.
I think sometimes as entrepreneurs, we need to teach people what that means to support us. So some people say, oh, well, I'll just come for a tour. Well, it's like, that's one part, but there's other ways to support. And if I, can't be doing tours right now, we need to look at other ways. And
exactly.
I think as women, sometimes we have a hard time kind of saying our needs and being direct. Do you think that that's something you've had to learn how to do as?
Oh, for sure. Yeah. I told you, I literally begged people.
Yeah. Was that a step outside your comfort zone, or you just were doing what you had to do?
Both.
Yeah.
Both. I got scared because just everything shut down. I mean, think about it. I didn't have my farm tour revenue. People weren't shopping in my farm store. So what's left? And then, so the restaurants that we got into, they closed.
Yeah, so you weren't shipping that.
So
were you having a hard time with employees wanting to be on the farm and around other employees as well? Or was that an issue?
Yeah, a little bit. We're a pretty close-knit group, and so we would talk, where have you been? What have you been doing? And so that wasn't too much of a concern. But then the people that did come to our farm, some of my employees were like, well, I don't know if I want to hand them a baby goat. Don't know where they've been.
Yeah.
So we did go through that for a while.
And you have this new, really unheard of, very little researched virus that's going around, and you have to protect 250 animals, right? You said, on the farm, you don't really know what the implications of this are. So there's been a whole lot of stuff that you've had to navigate.
Yeah, there has been. Last year, I feel like we did get a little something, a meat goat producer brought into our farm. That started the whole biosecurity. So it's almost like I was prepared for this on that level, at least. A dual hand washing station with warm water, and the biosecurity mat actually kills all the germs on your soils before you go into this area we're talking about that you can pet and love on all the animals. But so I was a little set up for that. I was good there. And now what happened now was everyone and their brother's coming. It's just like I'm limiting. Yeah. I have to limit because I don't want everybody to be on top of each other.
But it is something that's nice to do outside, like you said. So everybody's kind of looking for what can we do that we're not inside.
And they don't want to travel as far. They want to stay more local.
Yeah. Yeah. So it is definitely a nice, unique experience out there. So if you haven't yet and you have the opportunity, go check out Harmony Lane Farm and Creamery, get some, taste some food out there to go home with some
Samples
goodies.
are always free.
Check it out. Thank you, Julie, so much for coming in today.
You.
You've listened to Powered by Her and the Hinton Oakley Podcast Center.
You've been listening to Powered by Her. Download your favorites and keep up with new episodes in the Hints and Oakley Podcast Center.